I've always been a bit creeped out by my office building. It's a tall, modern structure made of glass and steel, and it's always eerily quiet, even during the busiest times of day. I work on the 14th floor, and there's a long hallway that leads to my department. I've often felt like I'm being watched as I make my way down that hallway, even though I know there's nobody there. One evening, I was working late to finish up some projects. The rest of my team had gone home hours ago, and I was the only one left on the floor. As I worked, I kept hearing strange noises. It sounded like someone was whispering, but I couldn't make out what they were saying. I shrugged it off and kept working, assuming it was just the building settling or something. But then I started to feel like I wasn't alone in the office. It was a weird feeling, like someone was standing right behind me, watching me work. I turned around, but there was nobody there. I tried to shake the feeling and focus on my work, but it was no use. The sense of being watched only grew stronger. Suddenly, I heard a soft, feminine voice say, "Hello?" It was so quiet that I almost didn't hear it. I froze, unsure of what to do. My heart was racing, and I could feel a cold sweat breaking out on my forehead. I was alone in the office, or so I thought. Who could be talking to me? I turned around slowly, half expecting to see a ghostly figure or something equally terrifying. But there was nobody there. I was alone in the office, just as I had thought. I tried to tell myself that it was just my imagination playing tricks on me, but I couldn't shake the feeling that something was off. As I tried to calm myself down and get back to work, I heard another sound. This time, it was a soft tapping noise, like someone was tapping their fingernails on the desk next to me. I looked over, but there was nobody there. The tapping continued, getting louder and faster with each passing second. It was so loud that it was starting to drown out my own thoughts. I got up from my desk and started to walk towards the door. I needed to get out of there, to get away from whatever was making that noise. But as I got closer to the door, I realized that it wasn't just the tapping that was getting louder. There was a low humming sound that was growing in intensity, filling the entire room with an eerie vibration. Suddenly, the lights flickered, and then went out completely. I was plunged into darkness, with nothing but the sound of my own breathing to keep me company. I fumbled for my phone, but it was dead. I was completely alone, in the dark, with something that was making strange noises and seemed to be getting closer. I started to run towards the door, fumbling for the handle in the darkness. But just as my hand touched the knob, I felt something brush against my leg. It was cold and clammy, like a hand, but there was nobody there. I screamed and pulled open the door, running out of the office and down the hallway as fast as I could. When I finally made it to the elevator, I hit the button frantically, willing it to arrive faster. I could feel something chasing me, something that I couldn't see but could sense was right behind me. I hit the button again and again, my heart pounding in my chest, until finally the elevator doors opened, and I stepped inside, slamming the button for the ground floor. As the elevator descended, I tried to catch my breath and make sense of what had just happened. It all seemed so unreal, like something out of a horror movie. But I knew what I had experienced was real, and it was terrifying. When I finally made it to the ground floor, I stumbled out of the elevator and out of the building, gasping for breath. I stood outside for a long time, trying to calm down and gather my thoughts. I knew I needed to go back in and get my things, but the thought of going back up to that floor filled me with dread. Eventually, I mustered up the courage to go back inside. I took the stairs this time, not wanting to risk getting stuck in the elevator again. As I made my way back up to my floor, I kept my eyes peeled for any sign of what had chased me out of the office. But there was nothing out of the ordinary, just the same quiet, empty hallway I'd walked down 1,000 times before. When I finally made it to my desk, I gathered up my things as quickly as I could and got out of there. I never stayed late in the office again, and I always made sure to leave before it got dark outside. That experience had left a permanent mark on me, and I knew I could never feel safe in that building again. Years later, when I heard that the office building was being torn down, I felt a sense of relief. I was glad to know that whatever had haunted me in that place would finally be gone for good. But even now, years after the fact, I can still feel a chill run down my spine whenever I think about that night, and the eerie presence that had chased me out of the office. I've always heard rumors about the strange occurrences at the office building where I work, but I never believed them until now. It's late at night, and I'm still at my desk, trying to finish up some work. The rest of the office is empty, and the only sounds I can hear are the hum of the fluorescent lights and the soft tapping of my keyboard. Suddenly, I hear something that makes me freeze. It's a creaking sound, like the noise an old wooden door makes when it's opened slowly. I look around, but I don't see anything out of the ordinary. I try to shake it off and continue working, but then I hear it again. This time it's louder, and I can tell it's coming from down the hall. I get up from my desk and cautiously make my way towards the source of the noise. As I turn the corner, I see a door that I've never noticed before. It's old and weathered, with peeling paint and a rusty doorknob. I don't remember ever seeing this door before, and I'm sure it wasn't there when I came in this morning. I slowly approached the door and reached for the handle. As soon as I touch it, a chill runs down my spine. I can feel the cold metal under my hand, and it feels almost alive, like it's pulsing with some kind of energy. I push the door open, and I'm hit with a wave of musty air. It's dark inside, but I can see a faint light coming from somewhere in the back. I cautiously step inside and start making my way towards the light. As I get closer, I can hear whispers, like a group of people murmuring in hushed tones. I finally reach the source of the light, and what I see makes me freeze in terror. There's a group of people standing in the center of the room, all dressed in old-fashioned clothes. They're all staring at me with dead, lifeless eyes, and their faces are twisted into grotesque expressions. I try to run, but my legs won't move. I'm stuck in place, staring at these strange, creepy people. They start to move towards me, their movements slow and deliberate, like they're moving through molasses. Suddenly, I hear a loud banging noise, and the people freeze in place. I turn around, and I see the door I came in through slamming shut. I try to open it, but it's stuck. I'm trapped in this room with these creepy, lifeless people, and I have no idea what's going on. As I stand there, frozen in fear, I notice something strange. The people are starting to fade away, like they're disappearing into thin air. One by one, they disappear, until the room is empty once again. I try the door again, and this time it opens easily. I run out of the room and back to my desk, my heart pounding in my chest. I don't know what just happened, but I know that I never want to experience anything like that again. The next day, I try to ask my coworkers about the strange room I found, but no one seems to know what I'm talking about. It's like the room never existed, and I start to wonder if I just imagined the whole thing. But deep down, I know that what I saw was real. And I know that there's something strange and creepy lurking in the shadows of the office building where I work. I work in a big office building on the outskirts of town. It's a modern glass and steel structure that looks impressive from the outside, but as soon as you step inside, you get the sense that something's not quite right. It's not just the sterile atmosphere, the rows of cubicles, or the lack of windows that make the place feel creepy. There's something else going on, something that you can't quite put your finger on. At first, I thought it was just my imagination playing tricks on me. But as the weeks went by, I started to notice things that I couldn't explain. Small things at first, like papers moving on their own or a sudden chill in the air. Then, things started to get weirder. I would hear strange noises when I was alone in the office, like someone whispering or footsteps in the hallway. But when I went to investigate, there was never anyone there. One day, I was working late, and I heard a loud crash from the other side of the office. I went to investigate, and when I got there, I saw that one of the filing cabinets had been knocked over, and the papers inside were scattered all over the floor. I tried to shake it off, thinking that maybe someone had been in the office earlier and accidentally knocked it over. But when I looked at the security footage, I saw that no one had been in the office for hours. As time went on, the incidents became more frequent and more disturbing. I would find strange markings on the walls, like someone had been scratching them with their fingernails. And sometimes, when I was alone, I would feel like someone was watching me, even though there was no one around. The final straw came one night when I was working late again. I was typing away at my computer when I heard a strange clicking sound coming from the ceiling. At first, I ignored it, thinking it was just the air conditioning acting up. But then the sound grew louder, and I started to feel like something was crawling around up there. I tried to focus on my work, but I couldn't shake the feeling that something was wrong. And then, suddenly, the clicking stopped, and there was a loud thump from the ceiling. I jumped out of my seat and ran for the door, but as I turned the handle, it wouldn't budge. I was trapped. Panic set in as I started pounding on the door, screaming for help. But no one came. I was alone in the office, and I had no idea what was going on. And then, I heard it. A low, raspy voice whispering in my ear. "Get out." I turned around, but there was no one there. Just an empty office and a feeling of dread that I couldn't shake. Eventually, the door opened, and I ran out of the office as fast as I could. I never went back there again. To this day, I still don't know what was going on in that office building. Maybe it was just my imagination, or maybe there was something truly sinister lurking in the shadows. All I know is that I'm glad to be out of there, and I'll never forget the feeling of fear and unease that I experienced every time I walked through those doors.